152 for 7 is what RCB have managed. Would they be satisfied with that? Was it the kind of score that keeps them in the hunt regardless of whether they win against Delhi Capitals today? There's a lot that needs to be deciphered after that first innings. It's the job of Tom Moody and Akash Chopra on Whirlpool Presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout powered by Dell. Gentlemen, I'd love to know from you what kind of innings, what kind of score is that? Tom, you first.
I think it's a score that's probably 15 to 20 runs short of where it could have been or should have been. Again, RCB have found themselves struggling in those middle overs, finding a way to score more efficiently. And it was nearly like they were tentative during that phase. Yes, Ashwin bowled particularly well, but for him to bowl 4 overs, 1 for 18 when the ball didn't turn a millimetre, or the wicket, the surface was not slow or keeping low, was it was something they'll reflect on if they lose this game and think, well, we missed a trick there.
I'm going to get into that more deeply in a bit, but Akash, first thoughts before that?
Well, I completely agree. I think from 2 counts. First, of course, you've got only 152. That's below par without doubt on most surfaces. But there is dew. We have all been talking about the dew. So you're talking about below par. If it's 160, 170 was par for the course, you need to score another 10, 15 runs above par to just counter the dew. So if you look at from that vantage point, so you're about 30 short. So hopefully the extra bowlers that they have played will hold them in good stead, and they'll take the game big, or rather take the game deep, because that's what they want. It's not just about the win right now; it's also about not losing by a huge margin.
Yeah. While we're on that, did it at any point, or can it happen at some point, Tom, in a game like this with what the situation is on the points table, that you have a conversation not just about winning, but also about not losing badly? And did you sense that in any way in the tempo or the approach of RCB's batting?
Well, if you hear a conversation like that, you ask them to get back on the team bus and go back to the hotel. It's just not a point to even think about, let alone have a conversation about. You prepare both technically and mentally to win the game, and that's got to be your mindset. That's when you are going to, from an individual's perspective, but also a team's perspective, be right on top of the game and bring your best game, on the occasion. So, yeah, look, I doubt that very much, whether they're thinking about, the permutations of not losing too badly or winning in a certain way. Okay.
Now let's get into the conversation that you teed up. And the reason I asked that question was because of the approach that we saw on what you said of the middle overs. They were 40 for 1 at the end of the power play. They've gone for 50 runs in the next 8 overs, in which Ashwin has completed his quota of 4. And like Tom Moody points out, has gone for 18. Now, what can be the possible explanation to not take on our Ashwin, not put Delhi spinners under pressure, Tom?
Look, a really good question. It did surprise me in that, particularly given they had wickets in hand. I think it's been a trend all season for RCB. Their middle overs, I think they're bottom of the list with regards to their efficiency, with economy rate during those middle overs, which is surprising given the personnel they've got in their middle order. I think it could be possibly that sort of uncertainty with the fact that they haven't got the confidence in the depth in their batting order. So they're thinking, of the what ifs. If I do get out, I'm putting AB under enormous pressure, and then, we fall away quite quickly as a batting unit. To me, that is a fundamental mistake from the get-go. If you're thinking like that, well, you've got your selection wrong. You must be thinking about what is required from me right now in this particular over. Is this the right bowler that is a good matchup for me to be able to take on? And then you go without any second guessing to attack. And that just didn't happen.
And it's not like they lost a lot of wickets, Akash. Padikkal was there. He looked like he was set. And Kohli. Can you explain those middle overs?
No, that's exactly what has happened all through the season. So it's not an aberration. It's not a an incident in isolation where you say, this happened tonight. It has been the case throughout. And Virat Kohli has had, like, of course, one innings was absolutely exceptional. The innings that he took apart CSK's bowling attack, if I remember correctly, about 90 odd runs he scored, remained unbeaten, and he was sensational on the night. But besides that, we've seen runs from him, but we've not seen the trademark Virat Kohli, vintage Virat Kohli, the quality of Virat Kohli on display throughout the season. He started slowly, of course. He had a few good innings. He's still managed, as you were discussing earlier before this show started, that he's managed 400 plus runs. So it's not a bad season by any stretch of imagination. But he's not been in his full flow. So if he's not on song, then you go conservative, and that's what has happened. So let's go deeper into the innings without realizing that if you lose the momentum now, you're losing, or rather you're putting too much pressure at the back end of a T20 innings, and then you're expecting AB to come and do his thing. It may happen one day, but it doesn't happen every day.
Yeah, is that a fair comment on Kohli? We'll come to Padikkal as well, Tom. But on Kohli, in spite of actually amassing the runs this season, has he looked like a batsman who's lacked a little bit of rhythm?
Yeah, absolutely. You only have to look at Kohli's history in the IPL, and it has been a lot more fluent, a lot more dominant with regards to his strike rate, and he's bossed the game. He's really bossed the game in this tournament, and whatever the reasons are for that, it's something that I'm sure he's aware of, and the people around him he trusts are aware of. But at the end of the day, Virat Kohli is, he's only human. We all make mistakes. Not that he's made many, but we all also find ourselves short of rhythm from time to time. But what he's managed to do is still keep scoring some runs, which have been, valuable in RCB's quest to continue to try to play finals.
All right, let's talk about Devdutt Padikkal. And I could let me first get it off your chest, because you guys were getting it off your chest on Twitter on not watching Delhi bowl enough bumpers to him, enough bouncers to him. Good player, Akash, isn't he? I get that you guys would have wanted Rabada and Nokia to bang it into him, but he seems at ease against pace, at least when it's not directed towards his body.
Okay, so let's start with by saying this, that he is the standout performer for this team, and he belongs to a team that has Kohli and AB de Villiers in the side, plus Aaron Finch, and he's playing his first season. He is the uncapped Indian player. Now, when you put all those things in perspective, this is a phenomenal season, like a runaway star for this season for the RCB. So well done on the selection, or well done on the season. But when you see somebody in this kind of form, and he's been exceptional through the offside, off the front foot, and he's also been flicking well. So anything that's below his waist, whether it's offside or onside, he's been very good. I was surprised, and I was actually slightly disappointed that if you got the pace of Nokia, the pace of Rabada, you got to test him out. These are bigger boundaries. This is not Sharjah. Even at Sharjah, honestly, even at Sharjah, if you have that pace, you try a few times and see what happens. It may or may not work. It may still go for a few sixes. That's still a lesson learned. But if you don't try, that's beyond me. And it hasn't happened first time, actually. I remember Nokia getting smashed by Ridhiman Saha, and so was Kagiso Rabada, and we didn't see a single bouncer in the power play over. So as a batsman, I'll be very happy. But as a fast bowler, if I were a fast bowler with the ability to bowl 145 clicks, I'd be bowling a bumper every over.
Tom?
Yeah, look, it did surprise me enormously, because it's not only the delivery itself that can provide you an opportunity to knock the batsman over, but it's what it does for the rest of the over, or the rest of that innings that he's trying to create. It creates a little bit of uncertainty, but if you're bowling in a very predictable way, very predictable length, when you've got a strong front foot player like he is, and clearly a player that enjoys a little bit of width and likes to lift the ball over the infield, you've got to set your over up. You've got to let him know that you're going to be offering a little bit more than just balls that are going to be hip and below hip. And we only saw one genuine bouncer that sort of whistled past his grill. To me, I would be nearly to the point saying to Rabada or Nokia, just say, look, I don't even care if your second bouncer goes for a wide. It's the message and the delivery that I want you to be offering to make sure that he's aware that it's not going to be one-way traffic.
Right. Before we move on to the second innings, and we'll know at the end of this game whether Padikkal's innings holds good or whether we can look back at those middle overs and think of Padikkal too and whether he could have taken the bowlers on. Akash, is this the next step? It's only his first season, so I don't want to be overly critical with the questioning, but in those middle overs, Padikkal has faced 21 balls of Ashwin and Aksar and gone at less than run a ball. He's at just the one boundary of Ashwin. Is that the next stage for Padikkal now? Raise his game in the middle, take spin on.
He can actually. We saw that in one of the innings that he played. I think it was against the Mumbai Indians, where he was asked to do a job and he was able to do that job. And that time also we were discussing whether he has the game, whether he has the ability to actually take on the spinners in the middle overs once the power play ring is out. So he has that game. I've seen him do that even at Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy. Of course, IPL is a different beast, but then spin of Akshar and Ashwin and spin what we get in the domestic T20, there's not it's not chalk and cheese. So he has the ability. I'm pretty sure if given a license to just go and play your natural game, he has that game. So I'm not overly worried that he does not have the game and he has to acquire new skills. These skills are within him. It's just that somebody has to unshackle and unleash. Just go out and thrill.
Okay, to just close the conversation on the middle overs, Tom, if you had to look at who was better placed to take those spinners on, would it have been a Seth Padikkal? Would it have been Kohli, who we know plays this certain way?
Well, I think they both needed to be honest with you. But we all know what Kohli's capable of doing. He tried to take the spin on and was missed by Nokia at deep mid-on, running in a catch that he should have taken. And maybe that sort of incident just made him sort of take a step back and think, well, hang on, I'm not quite ready yet, or I haven't quite got the rhythm yet. I need to hold back. But, the intent was there early, but he lost confidence given the outcome of his first effort. I think it's one of those things in batting partnerships, whatever stage of the game, you need to be communicating with each other and having an understanding of which bowler you feel and prefer to take on. And regardless, you need to make a call on who it is and make sure that that batsman does at least target one boundary and over in that middle phase. Otherwise, you're only going to be ticking over at 6.5, which is not enough. It needs to be, between 7.5 and 8.5 during that phase. And on a good day, you're going at 9+.
All right. Now, we made the point. Virat Kohli was so used to his extremely high standards and embossing IPLs. We're quite surprised to not see him do it yet another year. It's been a unique IPL in a way that fans haven't been able to be physically present in the stands as well. But don't worry, watching is the new everything now. And we've got some stunning visuals from the host cities for our fans. Akash, you've been in the UAE. You're going to be there a bit longer now. This has been a unique visit to the UAE. It's not like you could see all those wonderful sights that we just saw. But even so, in this bubble, you've enjoyed your time?
I have. The only touristy thing that I've done is a COVID test every 4th day. And we have a little window there. We can see different things, the memorabilia of UAE. So I've done that bit. I'll shop before I go.
I want to know whether your bat's been part of that shopping. I don't know if it was there from the first show that we did in this IPL.
It arrived late. It arrived late.
What are you still doing with the bat, Akash? Please tell me.
What I do, it's actually a prop for shows like these.
Oh, all right. Tom Murray, I can see some bats as props behind there as well, unless you still have a crack every now and then in your backyard.
Duncan Fernley. Oh, wow. Nice.
There you go.
Did you use any bats? Brilliant.
Don.
Bradman. It looks like
best wishes, Don Bradman.
That's not bad. Man. That's not bad. Did you use any of those bats in your wonderful innings?
Just before we go, this is the thickness of the bats that I had to use 100 years ago.
Terrible.
You compare that to today.
Oh, that's
I know.
That's it.
I was just looking at the thickness of my bat. It's not that thick either, but I don't play, so it's okay.
I'm done with you all boys making about the bat sizes and whatnot. Come on, Tom Moody, you make a lot of money with these new bats and the players that you coach in these IPL franchises. Doesn't matter. How many more runs do you think you would have added, Tom, if you would have had a bigger bat?
Well, I don't know how many more runs I would have got, but I probably would have hit a few more sixes, I reckon.
That's what RCB needed. That's not what they've got. Let's see if they can defend this. Let's see if at least they can extend the innings long enough to make sure that they're still in it no matter what way this result goes. Tom Moody, Akash Chopra, pick up the conversation at the end of it all on Whirlpool Presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout, powered by Dell.